Penis inflation! Okay, not like that. What do I mean by penis inflation? It's when men go to Turkey to put things in their peepees like silicone and raccoon. Okay, I don't actually mean in a literal sense. Please don't put raccoon in your peepee. Strange phenomenon going on that I'm sure a lot of you have noticed, the phenomena of height inflation. You might not recognize the term, but you definitely recognize the behavior. Women in general seem to be putting way more emphasis on heights than they used to. And I don't remembering it being this much of an issue years ago when a guy was what today would be called short. And by short, I don't even actually mean short. I mean anything that isn't 6 foot plus. Everywhere you look, social media, dating apps, bios saying, please be taller than me. If you're not 6 foot, don't even bother. That number, 6 foot, comes up constantly. I don't even think girls have issues with guys who are 5'11". It's just that there is something about the actual number. And what's funny is that anything under it, even if the guy is still taller than the woman, suddenly sounds wrong. 5'10", 5'11", tall in real life. But culturally, these numbers feel like taboo. It's like 6 foot became the line where acceptable starts, not because bodies changed, but because perceptions did. But I am here to talk about penises. Pretty adorable, cute little pink and blue penises. We leave the ballsack out for this one. When I say inflation, I want to be clear about what I mean. With money, inflation means your money buys less than it used to. The value of money goes down relative to prices, but there's also something else that happens alongside it. Over time, people adjust their expectations. Things that felt expensive start to feel normal. Things that once felt normal start to feel cheap. Not because they actually are, but because your reference point shifted. That is the kind of inflation I'm talking about here. The mental ruler people used to decide what's normal quietly stretching without anyone really noticing. You know what? I don't even believe most women actually want a giant penis. I just think they haven't really had one and are curious to experience it. Over time, perceptions shift to corn, and you think corn is mostly watched by men, but literally just before I started making this video, I saw a post mentioning that there's a massive increase in women watching corn, which brings me to this. Now, I just made a video, you can view it on my shorts, jokingly mentioning that women buy these giant flaming dragon dildo tentacle. Of course, this was a joke, but you know, no matter what you post on Instagram, people are gonna get offended. Cannot believe some of the comments that I got. It's always the post that I don't think will get the hate that get the hate. And for the millionth time, I'm being called misogynist. My intention for the video, just like 99% of my other TikTok and Reel videos, are not to be taken seriously, but somehow even that one was. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about that. As much as it was just a joke, I do believe there is some truth to it. Do women buy larger and larger dildos to use them, or is it just for curiosity? Is it more than just the image, the fantasy? Because I don't know if I believe most women actually want a giant penis. It's just that they haven't really had one and are curious to experience it. Just like I don't believe men really care that much about giant, bodacious, bombastic, behemoth boob. Now, boobies, they're a lot of fun. They do look great, but once you've experienced them, the curiosity goes away. It's like when you're a kid and you finally catch Santa at midnight and you play with his hairy ballsack. Magic is gone. It's like these dark romance books these women read about with giant monster tentacle centaur, long-haired half centaur, half chupacabra men with 12 sharp penises. It's not like you would actually want to be ravaged by them. Right? Height inflation happened because dating apps turned preferences into filters. Filters turned into minimums, and minimums turned into memes. And memes turned into cultural truth. Do not underestimate the power of memes. Once you see 6 foot minimum enough times, your brain goes, okay, I guess that's just the average. Even though mathematically it absolutely isn't. You want to know what the percentage of men 6 foot plus is worldwide? 10%. Now imagine the same mechanism but applied to something nobody openly talks about. That's where it gets interesting. This one isn't driven by dating apps, it's driven by exposure. Porn doesn't show averages, it shows outliers. Social media doesn't show normal, it shows extremes. And if your brain keeps seeing the top 5%, it slowly starts treating it like it's the baseline. Not consciously, of course. Nobody sits there like, yes, I demand centaur penis. Subconscious, your internal ruler just stretches. Ah! That's inflation. Here's the funny part though. Height inflation is loud, everyone talks about it, everyone argues about it. penis inflation is silent. Nobody wants to be the person who says, hey, I'm kind of into monster dicks right now, because the conversation immediately gets weird. So instead, everyone pretends. Expectations didn't change, preferences are just personal, and insecurity came out of nowhere. Which is insane. Insecurity doesn't spawn randomly, it grows in environments. Now, this isn't the woman's fault, and before anyone loses their fucking mind, this isn't women sitting around plotting expectations. This culture doing what culture always does, amplifying extremes and normalizing them, then acting surprised at the consequences. Everyone's swimming in the same water, but the difference is one side gets to talk about it, the other side doesn't. This is the gaslighting part. We are told, don't worry about it. Size doesn't matter, confidence is everything, which might be true, but then culture quietly screams bigger, taller, more. So you're told, don't worry about it, that big ones hurt, yours is fine, while being shown that it kind of does. Like I said, I don't think it does once the curiosity goes away, but all this exposure does make you curious. What does a big peepee feel like? That being said, I know there's other talks about how size doesn't matter, and I'm sure many of you have heard of women or even men say it's not about the size but how you use it. I've heard women saying that actually the best sex they've ever had was with a guy with a small peepee. And if you think about it, it makes sense, because there's a lot of men out there that think like gorillas: big peepee, good sex; small peepee, bad sex. So they don't put any effort. It makes sense that the guy with a small peepee would learn how to fuck good. As much as I'm sure he's a great lover, I hate to say this, and correct me if I'm wrong, ladies, I don't really agree with this, for one reason. You might have had sex with a small peepee guy and it was good, but I am under the belief that if you are doing it often, the sex, eventually you will miss the feeling of being filled. And if I'm wrong, ladies, do let me know. The disconnect messes with people, not because they're weak, but because humans are comparison machines. So no, I don't think penis inflation will ever reach height inflation levels. We're not getting to, sorry, you're under 8 inches, try therapy. But I do think the average got quietly rebranded. Expectations drifted and nobody wants to admit it. And now everyone is confused why people feel insecure, defensive, or weird about it. That is inflation, not physical, but cultural. So if you feel like the goalposts moved and nobody told you and you're somehow wrong for noticing, you are not crazy. You're just living in an inflated society. Anyway, thanks for coming to my TED Talk that nobody wanted to discuss. Let me know what you think about penises in general.